So this is CJ Wayseth, and I am recording a video for my CIT 261 class, and this is all about HTML5 tags, and more specifically tags on the video, audio, and canvas tags. I found a lot of my stuff while I was researching it off of the w3schools.com. There's a lot of great information here, and they have a lot of different tutorials about just the basics. They also have specific tutorials for the video, audio, and canvas tags, as they are new to the HTML5 library as compared to HTML4 and previous versions. So let's just go ahead and dive right on into it. On top of this, I also drew on some things from a guide to HTML5 and CSS3, which I have as a PDF, as well as HTML and CSS by John Duckett, and then HTML5 and CSS3 for the real world. I have all three of these as a PDF, and so I drew on some information from these to help kind of prep me and helping me understand more about the video tags and the audio tag. These weren't super helpful for Canvas, however, that's why I had the W3 schools open so I could learn more about that. However, we will just kind of go ahead and dive right on into this. So with the video tag in particular, there is the specific, so as you would expect, it says video, obviously, and you'll put the video in, and there are a couple of different attributes you can actually put with the video tag, and I totally lost them. Dang it. Hold up. Hang on. I know where this is. I should have been more prepared. I know. Where? Page 200. Okay, we're going to page 207. Alright, well that's perfect. That's where I wanted to go. So, there are a couple different attributes you can add on to your video tag. And so, the main thing you want to have is the source. You gotta have a location for where your video is. You can also set a width and a height to it, and then this right here for controls, that's very important if you want to have any control of the video, whether to pause or play it, to make it full screen or not, as well as to add, if you want to mute the sound, you can. This source tag is telling it where to find the video, and where I have it set right now, I have a folder here that I can show you. I have this folder here called video test, and in it is where I have the HTML file, and then this specific video is cover.mp4 because that's the file type, and so that's right there. The second one is in this folder to kind of show you how the directories work. If it's in another folder, that's how you'll go to that. And then I did a third video to kind of show you what if it's not in this folder, but it's in a folder above it, which is this video right here. That's where this comes into play. The two dots, and then this / and then the name of the video. So that way you can see how they all work, and they do work. And so just to show you that. So this code right here, I will show you the web page for that. Where'd it go? There it is. So this is what the web page looks like. One of the things that I have in my code for the second video, which is this one right here, is I also added some of these attributes to it, such as autoplay, muted, and loop. Now, those are very self-explanatory. Autoplay, obviously, as soon as it loads, it'll just start playing the video. Muted is something more for like the user experience. To make sure they don't have a bad experience with it, you can have it autoplay and mute, so when it starts playing, it's not like it'll just start blaring over their speakers. And then loop means that as long as it's running on its own, or as soon as it reaches the end of the video, it'll just start right back up again. And so I will show you how that works. So I'll reload the page. You can see this video here just started on its own, and it's muted. And I can turn the speaker on if I want.
Hasta ahí, vamos.
Listen to the video, and then mute it again, which is really nice. So it'll play the video, and I freaking love this video. It's a bunch of elders from my mission being silly. You can see that the videos have their own little style, and that varies from browser to browser. You can actually change that if you want, and you can use CSS to do that. If I wanted to play this video, I would play that, and it'll auto play the sound with it. I can mute that, do that. I can full screen it if I want. And then another video down here. So I can just play whenever I want, which is really nice. It's super cool how this all works, and you can style them using CSS to make them, if you want them all in a line, you can change the width and height, you can put a border around them, you can change this style, the control bar, and yeah, that's pretty much it for that. Some other attributes, you have a poster attribute, which is basically like the thumbnail. You can add your own thumbnail photo if you want to the video. Width and height obviously is the same, controls is the same, autoplay, loop. You can tell it to preload the video, or to preload when the page loads. You can either have it just do nothing until the user presses play. You can have it auto, which will download the entire video when it loads, or you can just download the specific, like just as minimal information as it needs, which is size, first frame, track list, duration, stuff like that. You can have multiple video sources, and this is for if a specific browser can't pick up one, it can use like it can tell by the type or even the codecs that if it can read that video or not. And if it can't, it's nice to have multiple video sources like in a layer, so that way if it can't read the one, it could potentially read the next one or the next one or however many, so that way they don't miss out on watching your video, which is really cool. So that's kind of that for the videos. Now, audio is very simple in tandem with the video, from what I found out. So we'll flip over to this. The audio sources, you don't really have too many attributes for it. You can do controls, so that way you can actually play or pause the sound. I'm sure you could probably do an autoplay on there as well. I actually haven't messed around with that. Sure, we'll autoplay it and do it muted. Sure, boom, perfect. So we'll see how that works, if it does or not, when I load it up again. So we'll go to that. So that's enough for the video test page. Audio test, you can see the players for each of the 3 audio files. I did the same thing with that as I did with the videos. I have one audio file above the above the folder, outside of it, and then I have one in and then one inside of another folder. So you can see that work. And so we'll reload it. Oh, so it muted it. It didn't autoplay it. So I guess autoplay is not a thing. I don't know. It didn't want to work, but I'm just not going to worry about that. So we'll just reload the page again. So you have all 3. Click play, starts playing music. Click play, starts playing music. Click play, starts playing music. And yeah, so all the audio files work, which is really good, which is what we expected. And you have the controls for it all. And something that this was saying, you can have, like, if it can't play a specific audio type, this is kind of the same thing with videos. You have like a mime type, which the browser will read and be like, okay, I can read that, so we'll play it. Or maybe, oh, I can't read that, so let's go to the next one. Oh, I can read that, okay. And then this is just like fallback text in case the audio can't play. It'll display that in place of it. And you can, I'm pretty sure you can manipulate the control graphics as well in CSS. Same with the videos. Yeah. So now on to Canvas. Canvas is quite the jack of all trades here, from what I found out. So in the HTML stuff, I totally lost my Canvas stuff, which makes me really sad. Oh, here it is. Boom. Here it is. There's a lot in this Canvas tutorial here. And it's really, really cool. You can draw text, draw graphics, it can be animated, it can be interactive, it can be used in games, and then an example which creates the canvas and it has a border, so you can do that. And these are some of the fun things I was messing around with in Canvas. So obviously you have, this is the border for each 6, so I have 6 canvases out, each one doing a different thing, which is cool. And I will show you the code for each one of those. It's a little messy, but it's better than nothing. So this is how you declare it. You use the canvas tag, give it an ID, because when you are down here using JavaScript to mess with it, or to manipulate the canvas and draw on it, you need to be able to get the element by its ID, and so it makes it easier. So test canvas 1 through 6 and stuff like that. Give it a width and a height, and then you can give it that border using just a style attribute. Give it a border of whatever color, however thick, solid or dashed or whatever. This is backup text in case the specific browser that someone's trying to access it in can't support it. There's that as a kind of a fallback. A lot of the main stuff that is done with the canvas is done using JavaScript. And so here, this variable is being assigned to the first canvas, which in here, it's just the red square. And this is to kind of determine that it's a 2D drawing surface almost, and you give that another, it gets the context of what it is. And then here, fill style is basically what color, or you can even like, as I did down here with all this is creating a gradient, and then the fill style is the gradient. And so you can just have it be a solid color or have it do a gradient. And then this function right here is a fill rectangle, so it'll create a rectangle and it'll fill it with the fill style. And the first two numbers are the coordinates of the top left corner of the rectangle, like where that is going to sit. And then so the top left corner is going to sit at 200 by 200, and then the square, or like the red square, is 100 by 100 pixels. So you can see that this is at 200, 200, and 200, and it's 100 by 100. This one right here, we'll go on to this one real quick. This one it's the same thing as the top one, except I added a rotate function to it, which, basically just rotated it so it's a little skewed like it is, but it's still the full rectangle, which is really nice. This one over here, so the move to function will kind of will move the specific cursor in the canvas to where you want to start, and then this line to will just determine where you want the line to go, what point you want it to end on. And then the stroke command will actually draw that line that you've created. And so that drew the line from the top left corner to the middle of the canvas. And then I did another one that started from the top right corner, drawing to the middle of the canvas, and then it drew it. As you can see, 1, 2. And I could do it again for the bottom left corner up and the bottom right corner up and make like an X. And yeah. The next one is a little different. You have to begin a path before it's for drawing like a circle. You begin the path, and then you have the arc function. So these first two numbers are the coordinates of the center of the circle. So you have X and Y, and then you have the radius of the circle, and then the 0 is the starting degree, like what degree you want to start on, and then this right here helps it to make a full circle. 2 times pi, and then you tell it to draw it, which is very simple. The next one is the nice rainbow colored box. I was just messing around with that. Made it more complicated than it probably needed to be. But first thing you have to do is you do the first two. You have to find the canvas, and then you create the context. But then if you want to make a gradient, you have to create a third variable, and you can name it whatever you want. And you base off of this, the second variable, and you do dot create linear gradient, or you can even do a radial gradient. Radial gradient's a little different. It adds in 2 extra numbers for the radius, and then the radius 1 where you want it to end and where you want it to start. But linear gradient, you have X and Y, and then the second X, so X1 and Y1, this is where you want the gradient to end, and this covers the entire canvas. It's not just a specific box that you're drawing or the specific circle. It's for the entire canvas. That's something I figured out. And then color stops, you can only do them, you start at 0 and you end at 1. You can't go past 1, you can't go below 0. So you can do them in increments, like so. I was just doing them in 8ths. So, and you can name them a color, or you can use a hexadecimal color, hex value for the color, which is a lot more specific. But I just did normal color names, and it did it. And then for fill style, instead of doing what you did up here, you do the GRD, because that's what you want it to be, and then you do the fill rectangle, start at 100, 100, and then it's 250 by 250, and yeah. And then you can also draw text, which you'll say what font, you'll say the size, what size in pixels, and then the name of the font. You'll do the fill style, whatever color. If you want to align it to have a text align, you can center it. And then your fill text is what allows it to draw it onto the screen. You type what type of text you want. So I could even change this to say hello friends. And then this is the X coordinate and the Y coordinate for where it'll start. But because of the text align, the center point is not up in this top left corner. It is now in the center of the text. So now it should say that. It's perfect. And yeah, that's pretty much it for video, audio, and Canvas. If there's still some things that you're a little stuck on, I would highly suggest going on to W3 Schools, because there was a lot of information on there that helped me to understand all of this. And yeah, that's pretty much the basics of it. Hopefully you guys understand this a little bit more, and you guys are able to start working on some smaller projects and messing around with it a little bit, so that you guys can show that you have a basic knowledge of it. But yeah, thanks so much. Thanks for watching.